Okay, we're back. I'm your host, BKP, and we're going to go to the Donald Trump, real Donald Trump, President of the United States. We're going to go to the Twitter deck, and we're going to highlight a couple things here. Before we wrap up the show, I want to hear what the President has to say. Now, I want to bring this up. It is 10 hours ago. These are all tweets from the President of the United States. This was 10 hours ago, and we'll go into today. Donald Trump, as we've been talking about, just returning from the great state of Minnesota, where we had an incredible rally with 9,000 people and at least 10,000 that could not get in. I will return. Congratulations to Pete Stober, who is loved and respected in Minnesota. So that's who we've been talking about. He tweeted out 9 hours ago, all-time record optimism. Since they've been doing polling and checking, 95.1% all-time record optimism. Continue up here. Now, this is 1 hour ago. The President Donald Trump said we should be hiring judges by the thousands as our ridiculous immigration laws demand that we should be changing our laws, building a wall, hiring border agents and ICE not to let people come into our country based on the legal phrase that they are told to say as their password. Now, they are told before they get there, they stop, okay? And this is not a joke, I'm telling you the truth. How many of you have traveled to Florida, okay? And before you get to Florida, or you're traveling to Disney World, and before you get to Disney World, how many billboards say, stop here for all your Disney tickets in advance. Stop here for all of your Disney World information. One right after, official Disney World Information Center, one exit after another. They actually jokingly have that on the other side of the Mexican border. They have areas where they make sure they train you as you're coming through there on the legal words to say to get across the border. Okay, so come into our country based on a legal phrase they are told to say as their password. All right, we should be focusing on, building a wall, hiring border agents and ICE not to let people come into the country. But instead, you see what's happening. All right, one more. We'll keep going. The president continues. The border has been a big mess and problem for many years. At some point, Schumer and Pelosi, who are weak on crime and border security, will be forced to do a real deal. So easy to solve. This long-time problem Schumer used to want border security. Now he'll take crime. Okay, so long-time problem president puts out there. I will be going to Columbia, South Carolina on Monday night to do a campaign speech for one of my very early supporters, a man who truly loves the people of South Carolina, Governor Henry McMaster. Henry worked so hard and was so loyal to me that I look forward to reciprocating. Remember, Henry, I think, is the first governor that supported President Donald Trump there in South Carolina. And that was at the same time, let's not forget, that Nikki Haley was supporting Marco Rubio, but we won't go back. 51 minutes ago, last night in Minnesota was incredible. What a crowd, okay? What a crowd. Last night was great. Here's 34 minutes ago, seems to be the last one he has out. What is the purpose of the House doing good immigration bills when you need 9 votes by Democrats in the Senate and the Dems are only looking to obstruct, which they feel is good for them in the midterms? Republicans must get rid of the stupid filibuster rule. It is killing us. Mitch McConnell, 51 votes, a majority, is afraid of this. He could do this, but he won't. So what the President of the United States is telling you is that while the left media is continuing to push the narrative of how bad things are at the border, and we could fix it, let me just say this real quick because I don't have a lot of time. You hear Congress. Congress is combined. Congress has 535 members, all right? What that means, that's combined. Now, the House of Representatives has 435 members, and the Senate has 100 members, combined as a Congress. So when you will hear them, and they will use this, they'll say, Congress will not act, Congress will not act. Well, that's a joint effort that they're waiting on. When you say congressional action, that's a joint effort that they're waiting on. Takes two parts to get it to the president's desk. I mean, maybe we should have the old Schoolhouse Rock, I'm just a bill here on Capitol Hill. But the House of Representatives have passed immigration bills. They have sent multiple bills over to the Senate. It does them no good in many days to even go to work and pass bills because they die in the Senate. So when you hear congressional or Congress should act or Congress has failed, the House of Representatives, and I'm not taking up for Paul Ryan, the House of Representatives, they are moving things. But over on the Senate, we need 60 votes. You need 60 votes. You got to get a vote to send the bill to the floor for conference. And then after that, you vote on it. So the Senate is the logjam. The Senate is what's not getting the job done. The President of the United States is over here waiting to sign it. President signs an executive order because the Senate will not get anything moved. So he signs an executive order just trying to calm things down for a day or two. Not Congress. The House of Representatives is over here passing things, doing things. At least I think they're trying. And then right down the middle is Mitch McConnell at the center, the logjam that will not pass it on to the president. So Donald Trump is putting that, the filibuster rule right to play. Now, Mitch McConnell does not want what's best for America. Mitch McConnell doesn't want to leave the corner office with the big window. Mitch McConnell doesn't want to lose the extra perks of being the Senate Majority Leader. He does not want to lose the power. None of the above. And see, there's only 2 or 3 spots open that could switch the power in the Senate. So you could have, which I doubt doubt it's likely, but you could have a Republican House of Representatives, a Democrat Senate, and a Republican president. Mitch McConnell personally wants the power. His friends surrounding him personally want the power. See, Mitch McConnell, when you're the majority leader, you get to a point. You get to set in motion who these committees, heads of committees are in the Senate. And that's big power. So Mitch doesn't want to lose that. And that's why you have Heidi Heidenkamp out there saying, I could support Donald Trump. You have Joe Manchin sounding like he could support Donald Trump. You have several of these. Joe Donnelly out in Indiana, they're trying to sound like they could support Donald Trump. They're trying to sound like they'd vote for Donald Trump. That's what Mitch McConnell's nervous about. Change it to 51, and the next thing you know, there's 51 Democrats, and he loses his power, and Chuck Schumer is all over the board. Okay, they will change the power. Let me just finish up something I wanted to talk about so I don't lose my direction here. Tariffs. Okay, now the 25% to 10%, the tariffs with China. Donald Trump said at this, and I like to take this and listen to it. The error of economic surrender for the United States is over. And I know some of you are not as passionate about some of these things as I am. But the results of what he's doing, you are going to be receiving those results with an economy that is booming. Now you have economists, okay? You have economists that have bow ties. It's like, what are you here for? Economics 101? Well, when you get to the next level, that's where you get the bow tie. We hand out the bow ties at the next level, all right? So you got all these economists wearing bow ties that are in these think tanks, and they got calculators, and they just want to work a calculator all day, I guess. I don't know. And there's a supply side economist and micro and all this and that. See, but we know in America the simple, we are economists, the simple, we know when we don't have a job. Simple. You can have the economists do all the numbers and the statistics and the direction, and they got the arrows that go like this and the graphs and the charts. But guess what? You know if you don't have a job. You know if you have a job. You know if the boss gave you a raise. You know if your cousin has a job. You know if your cousin's still out of work. You know if your kids came out of college and they came home. You know if they came out of college and got a job. So we don't need those economists to tell us what we know, but they try to with the tariffs. I have waited for somebody to come out and say the era of economic surrender for the United States is over. I have been waiting on that for years. Economic surrender is over. The EU, tariffs on our cars, tariffs on our products. China, 280, whatever, $70 billion trade deficit. The entire world dumping what they want to dump here. Dumping what we want here. Now, I want to be clear, I drive a Honda. Now let's talk about tariffs and products and cars just a minute. I drive a Honda. So when when the government took over GM, I obviously became one of those people that said, you know what, I'm not driving another General Motors car. All right? And they have lied to you when they tell you that General Motors paid back the American people. You're not paid back. They've adjusted the balance sheet, okay? So anyhow, I went and I pulled onto a Honda dealership. And this is 2010. And at that time, I'm driving a General Motors product. And I said, you know, I want rid of this car. And I just looked around the Hondas, and I found a Honda that I liked. And I found a Honda that I liked, and I said, you know what? I took it for a test drive. So Lisa and I are test driving this Honda, and we're with the sales representative, and we're driving north on 515 or 575, and I like the car. I'm thinking, okay. And I went back, and I looked at the guy, and I said, you know what? I said, one, I don't make a decision the day I'm on the lot. And two, it's a Honda, and I like them. I got nothing against them. But I just don't know if I can bring myself to buy a foreign car. So he opens the door, and he shows me manufactured in Ohio. And I said, yeah, I know, but still it's a Honda. And he said, it's called a 9010. So what's that mean? He said 9010. 90% of this car, the parts are manufactured in this country. The parts are made, manufactured, assembled. It's a 9010. Only 10% of the car is shipped in, and I think it was the transmission. Like the Honda's got a Japanese transmission that comes in through the port. A 9010. I said, well, all right, let me think about it. He said, well, as you go home and think about it, look up Chevy. Go do your research on how many cars that are considered American-made cars, and Chevy, Ford, and Chrysler don't even meet the 90-10 standard. Go look that up, because the ones you're going to go look at, you're going to be shocked when you do the research and find out how many of those cars are not what we call 90-10 as this Honda. So I did the research. I came home, I started looking around. That's really where I got into it. How many vehicles have been pushed down to Mexico? NAFTA's working. You're going to hear the liberals tell you in this trade war that NAFTA is working. Why it's worked well for Mexico? Well, I guess it has. Go do the research. So when I started looking at how many cars were being manufactured across the border in Canada, and especially Mexico with General Motors that we bailed out and other auto manufacturers, I thought to myself, my God, it doesn't matter what lot I pull on, our country has set our manufacturing, and this Honda is as American-made by American workers in Ohio. There's workers with a job going there in Ohio putting my Honda together, and I guess I'll support those men and women in Ohio. So I bought a Honda Accord, God forbid, right? I'll just tell you, that was 2010, you know, still driving 8 years later, the same Honda. That being said, you will hear it was good for NAFTA, was good for Mexico. And it should be. One thing on the immigration, because we're going to play our sports show here in about 2 minutes. You're going to hear that during the Obama administration, how many years or months that border crossings and immigration, illegal border crossing went down. All right? Went down. Here's something I want you to look at, because Joe Scarborough Joe Scarborough actually made a mistake to say this morning. I don't think he realized what a stupid comment he made. That NAFTA has actually been working for Mexico. That's why they're not trying to come into this country. They have your job. Now, pay attention to a couple things. One, on the border crossing, the percentage of Mexicans that are actually crossing the border is down. Out of the people crossing the border, this is Honduras, El Salvador, Hondurans, Guatemalans. Okay? And Mexico is facilitating them all the way across Mexico, thousands of miles, and helping them to get to your border. Why? Because they don't want them to stop and take the Mexican jobs that the Mexicans took from you. What the hell? The era of economic surrender in the United States is over, Donald Trump. Keep in mind, one more time, picture it. Guatemalans, Hondurans, El Salvadorans, they're starting through Mexico, and the country of Mexico says, whoa, man, NAFTA's working for us, baby. Jose, Juan, you know, they're all working. They're over at the plant. They're over at the General Motors plant, and they got uniforms with their names on it and everything. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to meet you at the border, and we're going to make sure you get to travel all the way to that U.S. border, because God forbid you stop anywhere in Mexico and try to take one of our jobs. Get you right on up there. Get on up there. We don't need you stopping here, because we already took their jobs. You're not taking ours. It's that simple. I don't need an economist to tell me about tariffs. I don't need an economist to show me the charts and graphs. I don't need it. So the reality is, NAFTA is working for them, not you. Okay? Period. The reason that the Mexicans are not in the border crossing population anymore is they have your jobs. They don't need to. Now, you're going to see, you can go back, Google this, and this is going to end the show. Google this, okay? That during the Obama administration, how many Mexicans left? I mean, there were news reports that, they're leaving and going home. Mexicans, the economy is so bad, Mexicans can't find a job. They are leaving and going back to Mexico. Why? Because their jobs now are in Mexico. NAFTA's doing well. Look it up. Find the truth. Don't listen to MSNBC, CNN. You know, last night they were out there at the rally, and I thought it was funny because Donald Trump always points and he says, back there, they won't tell you the truth, the fake news, and the whole 10,000 in the crowd broke up out in CNN sucks. CNN sucks, lock her up. Folks, I'm here every day trying to expose what they're hiding from you, get the truth out. Yes, NAFTA works for Mexico. Yes, Mexico is definitely helping those Guatemalans, Hondurans, and then Salvadorans get across there to your border because they don't want them to take their job that they took from you. How about that? I'll be back tomorrow, 8 a.m., Sycamore Crossing. Don't miss. I had a lot more, but we only have 2 hours. A special all-star panel tomorrow at Sycamore Crossing. Take us out of here.